So today I'm going to be showing you how to draft your own sleeve block. Sleeve block is so easy to do. Rule a guideline. You rule your guideline. Like I told you in the previous tutorial, I usually keep my guideline as 1 inch. So I'll rule my guideline. This is my guideline here. So the next thing I want to do is, I'm not going to be starting my sleeve at the edge of this paper directly. So I'm going to measure 2 inches away from it so that I can have a starting point from here, because later on we are going to be adding allowance. So I want to have enough space for my allowance. So I will just measure 2 inches like this. This is what I have. So I'm going to be starting my measurement from this line here. So the next thing you want to do is to get your bodice block. Get your bodice block. So to determine the width of your sleeve, you measure from your bodice block the length of your armhole. Measure your armhole length. So I'm going to be measuring that. So the length of my armhole here is 7.75. So, and you know the block is into 2. We have the front and the back. So you are going to be multiplying that 7.75 by 2. I can just fold my tape like this and then see what I have. Here I have 15.5. So the width of my sleeve towards this side now is 15.5. So I'll make a point. Then I'll rule this line now. So I'll make a point and then roll it down. So I'm going to measure that 15.5 randomly so that my line can be straight. Okay, so the width here now is my sleeve width. So the next thing you want to do is to measure down your cap height. You can either measure your cap height like I'll show you in the measurement tutorial, or you calculate it. Take sleeve length. You measure back your shoulder again like this. Where your shoulder stops, from there you take the measurement of your sleeve. Yes, that's how to take sleeve measurement. So from there you measure down your cap height. You measure, if you're making a short sleeve, you measure your short sleeve, your 3/4 sleeve, and then your long sleeve. All right. So, and at those points, you're going to be taking the circumference measurement of the sleeve. If you're making a short sleeve, where your short sleeve stops, you take the circumference measurement of that position. So for a short sleeve, you measure like this, inserting one finger. You measure your 3/4, inserting one finger. Then while taking the wrist measurement, that is the length of your long sleeve, you don't just measure here, because if you just measure here, your sleeve is not going to enter into your hand, because you know our palm is actually bigger than this position. So while taking your wrist measurement, quickly folding your palm like this, then you take this measurement here. That's how to take your wrist measurements. I've measured mine and mine is 4.5. So I'll put the 4.5 here. Then I'll rule it. After the cap height, you measure down your sleeve length. All right, so if you're making a short sleeve, you can do 8 inches. If you're doing 3/4, you can do 17, or you can do a long sleeve. My long sleeve is 24, so I can just measure my 24 there. So I'll rule this line. So this is for my 24 length. And if I'm making a short sleeve, I can roll it from here as well. So the next thing you want to do now is to divide this line into two, so that you can have the front part of the sleeve and also the back part of the sleeve, just like we did on the basic bodice block. So the next thing you want to do is just to divide the line. Starting from a guideline, I'll measure what I have here. Here I have 15.5. Then I'll make a point at the midpoint. So I have 7.75. So I'll just measure that 7.7 all around so that I can make it into a straight line. So now that this is done, the next thing you want to do now is to divide your cap height line into two. Here I have 4.5. From here to here is 4.5. Then I'll locate the midpoint. So that I can divide it into two. Then I'll roll it like this. So this is the front part of our block, and then this is the back part. So I can just put front here, then back, like this. So the next thing you want to do is to divide this line again. So from here I have 7.75, so I'll divide it into two. Then I'll roll it to the cap height line, like this. Then I'll do the same thing to the back part of the sleeve as well. So this is what I have. So starting from the midpoint, that is starting from where the front part starts, you know, this line here demarcates the front and the back. This line here demarcates the front and the back. So starting from here, you connect it to this point, then you take it here with your curve. Use your curve ruler. Like this, then you turn the French curve, then you connect it back like this. So this is the front armhole curve. Then let's do the back. For the back, you're not just going to connect here and connect here. No, you are not going to do that for the back. You measure 3/4 inch, that is 0.75 upward on this line, like this. Then you measure 0.75 outward, 3/4 inch. Measure it outward like so, like that. Then you connect the points. So starting from this line, you connect, then you bring it down like that. Like this. Take it down. Alright, so this is our armhole curve. As simple as that. So the next thing you want to do is to go to the hem of your sleeve, and then you input the round sleeve measurement. Like I told you, while making long sleeve, you don't measure here, but rather you measure from here. You fold your hand, then you measure. So here I have 9 inch. I have 9 inches. So I'll measure half of it towards the left, then half of it towards the right. So I'll measure 4.5 to the left, then 4.5 to the right, like that. Then I'll connect it with a ruler, like this. Just connect it together. Then you connect the back. So our sleeve block is ready. So you can still cuff this part. You don't want to leave it straight like this. If you have pant cuff, you can use it to just blend the cuff. So just place your pant cuff, if you have, like this, then touching from here, then so you just connect it together. You have shaped your sleeve so that you can follow all the curve of the body instead of just being straight. So do the same thing to the back. From here, then place it and then connect. So this is it. You add your allowance. On the cap height line, we will add 1/2 inch. Then at the side seam, you're going to add 1 inch. Then at the lower part, you add 2 inches because you know you are still going to be folding the hem of your sleeve. So the next thing you want to do is just to add the allowance. So you can discard this line now because we no longer need this line. Discard it. So you add your 1 inch allowance to the side seam. Then the armhole you add 1/2. So I've added all my seam allowances to my sleeve. To my sleeve, I added 1/2 to the armhole part, 1 inch to the side seam, and then the hem I added 2 inches. So the next thing you want to do, this is the way it is. Let me show you the lower part of the sleeve. What I'm going to do there again. So at this point, you are going to come out here by 1/2 inch, like this. Measure 1/2 inch. Before you cut it out, measure 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, like this. Then you connect it back to your actual sleeve length, like this. Can we see that? Then you do the same thing to the other side. Measure 1/2 inch outward on your allowance, then you connect it to the actual measurement here. Can we see? So we can cut our sleeve. This is our sleeve. The reason why we added this 1/2 is for this line. By the time you fold this your allowance upward, so that it can match with your side seam. That's the reason why we usually do that. Let me show you. So you see that by the time I folded it upward, it matches with the side seam. But I didn't mean you did not have this 1/2 inch. It's not going to be up to this point. It's going to stop like somewhere here. So that's the reason why you need to just add that 1/2 inch, so that by the time you are folding your sleeve, everything can match properly. So that's it for how to draft basic sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you how you can draft your sleeve using freehand method. You know, anytime I'm making all those free stuff, I use freehand. If you have seen the previous tutorial, so I'm going to show you how to do that. Here is my paper. And I'll fold it into 2. The folding is your armhole plus your allowance. That's what will determine how you are going to fold it. So this is it. The paper is folded. So the next thing you want to do is to measure down your cap height. You measure the cap height. Just let's rule the guidelines so that we can have the starting point. Like this. So the next thing I'll do is to measure down the cap height. Drafting the freehand, I straight off put 5 inch as my cap height. So I'll roll it. Then the length of your sleeve, let's say I'm making 16 inches length, then plus allowance of 2 inches, that's 18. So I'll roll those lines too. Like this. So the next thing you want to do is to come back to your cap height line. Your cap height is this line here, that is 5 inches downward from the starting point. 5 inches from the starting point, from your guideline, 5 inches downward. On your cap height line, you measure your armhole, whatever armhole you use while cutting your while cutting your dress, whatever armhole you use, that's what you are going to measure on your cap height line. Let's say while drafting my hairline, I use 9 inches as my armhole, so I measure the 9 inches like this. So after the 9 inches, I'll measure my seam allowance. Whatever seam allowance you use while you are cutting your gown or anything you are using freehand to do, whatever allowance you use on the body, that's the same allowance you're going to add here. Like if I'm making hairline, you know, most time I use 1.5, so I'll just measure the 1.5 like this. So the next thing you want to do is to take a ruler, starting from the edge of the this your guideline here, starting from the tip here, you measure it to where your armhole stop, not the allowance, but the armhole, the actual armhole that you have there, that 9 inches point. Just read it. You know, I usually do all this, I don't measure because I'm already used to it. By the time you do this over and over, you'll be used to it. You don't need to be rolling this line again. You just get your inverted hairs straight off. So from here now, you measure 1.5 like this, and then you measure 1/2 inch upward, and that's your 1.5 mark. Then you go to where this one stops, you measure 1.5 again, then you come down by 1/2 inch like this. This is what you have now. So the next thing you want to do is to divide this your line into 2. This your line that you have here now, divide it into 2. Here I have 10.5, exactly 10.5, so that will be 5.2. This is the midpoint here. Can you see? So the next thing you want to do is just to connect these points together now. Starting from the tip of the sleeve, you connect to this 1/2 inch that is outward, you connect it to the midpoint, you take it to the 1/2 inch that is downward, then you blend it. Hope it's not confusing. So from the edge of the paper now, you connect it to this your 0.5 outward, you bring it to the center, then you take it back down. So let me do it and show you. It's very easy using your hand. Touch these points like this, then you touch this 1/2 inch that is downward, then you blend everything all the way to your allowance. It's very easy and it's fun. It's kind of fun to do. So just blend it, let it be a smooth curve. Can you see? So this is how you achieve that. Over time, by the time you practice and practice, you don't need to be measuring anything. So this is what you have now. So the next thing you want to do is to put your round sleeve measurement. My round sleeve at 16 inches is 12. Half of it is 6. So you put 6 inches there, then you add whatever allowance you had to your armhole, you had it here. I added 1.5 here, so I'm going to add 1.5 here. So you just use your curve to like connect those points now. And if you don't have the curve, just use your hand to blend it. It's not difficult to do with hand. Just use your hand to blend this, and then your sleeve is ready. So you cut it out. This is your allowance here. This is your allowance. So the first thing you want to do before you cut, fold your allowance upward on your actual length. Fold it upward like this. Then you redraw this line. Then you cut it out. And then your sleeve is ready using a freehand method. By the time you open it, it's almost the same thing with the pattern. Like the one you draft, it's almost the same thing. So this is the one I drafted. You see, so I just put it and then mash it together. You can see there's just a little difference. Just fold the fabric into two. We are making two sleeves, so I already placed it into two folds now, so that I can cut the two sleeves together. Then you just place your pattern on top of it like this, then you cut it out. By the time you cut this out, you have two sleeves. Right, so I'm done cutting. Don't forget to put your notches. So I usually notch the front part so that I will know that the place that I put my notch is the front part of my sleeve. Then you notch the sleeve allowance on the hem part. You notch it so that you know where to fold the hem of your sleeve. So I'll put my notch on the front part so that we know where that is. Like this. Then I'll notch my hem allowance. You notch the center of the sleeve, the center here, you notch it so that you know the part that is going to be connected to the shoulder on your bodice. So you notch the shoulder like that. So that's it. We've put our notches. The reason why you put all these notches is to know the part that is going to be connected on your body. So I've notched the front part of my sleeve. So while sewing this, I will know that this notched part is for the front. So that's the reason for doing that. Then this shoulder notch, you will know where to connect it to your shoulder on your bodice. Alright, so this is it. By the time you open it, you have two sleeves. One, then two. Alright, so I'll show you how to join it to the body, and then I'll wear it and show you. So the first thing you do is to fold the hem of your sleeve. You fold once, then you fold over again, then you sew. So when you're done with one sleeve, you repeat the same thing to the other sleeve. So when you're done hemming your sleeve, you take the bodies. This is the bodies that I worked with the last time in our previous tutorial. So I already read this side. So this is the shoulder of my bodice. So I'll take my sleeve, I'll match the center of my sleeve with the bodice right side to right side. Right side of the sleeve will be facing the right side of the bodice. Then I'll match the notch at the center of the sleeve with the shoulder joining, just like that. And don't forget, the notched part is the one that is going to be in front. Don't forget that. Remember, we notched the front of the sleeve armhole. So that notched part is the one that is going to be in front of your bodice. So just mash it together, then you sew. You sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance. So starting from the shoulder to the side seam. So when that is done, you turn the fabric to the other side. This time around, the sleeve will be at the bottom while the bodice will be on top. Then starting from the shoulder again, you sew to the other side of the side seam. So when you are done attaching the sleeve to the bodice, The next thing you want to do now is to close the side of the top. You remember we added 1-inch seam allowance to both the sleeve and the body. Just sew with 1-inch seam allowance. Starting from the hem of the sleeve, you sew close the side of the top with 1-inch seam allowance. So when you get to the armhole side, you push all your allowances, you push them upward towards the sleeve. Just push the allowances towards the sleeve, then you continue sewing till you get to the hem of the top. So that's it, we're done sewing. Don't forget to do the same thing.
So this is the result of the outfit. Can you see the sleeve?
So here is my top.
This is it. See, it's easy to raise my hand. Can you see the feet? So I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.